Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2006. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S., 4:30 p.m. in London, 9:30 a.m. in Mexico City. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our instant mail address on AOL is CATEX-TV. On this day in history, 3 years ago in 2006, an Egyptian ferry sank in the Red Sea, killing all 2,000 passengers on board, drowning them. We have some breaking news. Actually, this is very surprising news, and it may be responsible for the stock market being up about 50 points. U.S. December pending home sales increased by 6.3%. It jumped a seasonally adjusted 6.3% during the month of December as American buyers took advantage of lower mortgage rates, falling prices, and just general better consumer confidence in purchasing real estate. The pending home sale index rose 6.3% in the month and is now up 2.1% compared with a year earlier in the National Association of Realtors study. The increase also points to a healthy gain in existing home sales in January and February. Perhaps this could be the beginning of something. We don't know, obviously. Now to our main news. If you're watching this in England, you're probably watching it from home. The country remains paralyzed. Yesterday's snowfall apparently has cost the British economy about 1.2 billion British pounds. This is according to a report in today's Guardian newspaper. The Guardian quotes the Federation of Small Businesses as saying that output was reduced as 1 in 5 commuters failed to arrive at work. The paper also quoted a fellow named Douglas McWilliams, who is the chief executive for the Center for Economics and Business Research. Mr. McWilliams said that if the cold and snow continues, which it's supposed to be doing this week, an additional 2,000 to 3,000 companies could go bankrupt in the first quarter as a result of delayed payments suffered by the fact that there are no employees present to make those payments. Last month's violent storms in France that left 26 people dead in both France and Spain caused up to $1.4 billion euros in damage, or about 1.8 billion US in damage in France alone. Between 400,000 and 600,000 French households were hit by the storm, with overall damage estimated as much as 1.4 billion euros. The head of the FFSA, the Federation of French Insurers, told reporters this yesterday. France, of course, declared a natural disaster across the southwest of its country, where the worst storm to hit in a decade brought down power lines and paralyzed the rail network. Some 15,000 homes in France remain without power today. This is out of 1.7 million originally cut off. In Peru, the U.S. Geological Survey says that an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.8 hit the southern coast of the country, frightening residents of the port city of Pisco. Pisco is still recovering from a devastating quake in 2007. The quake hit this morning at about 12:53 a.m. The epicenter was about 30 miles northwest of Pisco. And in New Jersey last night, at about 10:30 p.m., about 40 miles from where I'm sitting, a 3.8 earthquake struck in the general area of Morristown, New Jersey. Most people slept through it, including this reporter. Those that were affected by it typically had already been awake. There was no damage or injuries. A $250 million catastrophe bond backed by failed investment bank Lehman Brothers faces, quote, imminent default, unquote, because of its issuer's inability to make scheduled interest payments. The interest payments are due on Monday. The cat bond, Willow Re Limited, was issued by Allstate in 2007 to protect against American hurricane losses. The Class B 2007 notes, which when issued were guaranteed by Lehman Brothers, were downgraded Friday by Standard & Poor's to D. Lehman's collapse last September nullified its guarantee of the bonds. According to Standard & Poor's, the issuer, which in this case would be Allstate, has notified us that it will not have sufficient funds to make the scheduled interest payment. Under terms of the cat bond, the Willow Re special purpose vehicle has a 5-day grace period. However, Standard & Poor's expects that even with that period, the bond is going to default. In October of '08, S&P downgraded the ratings on all 4 cat bonds that were backed by Lehman Brothers, saying that the interest payments on the notes were at risk due to the exposure of the assets in the collateral account. Standard & Poor's noted that 3 other bonds, Ajax Re, Newton Re, and Carillion, all made their previously scheduled interest payments due last December, but this one apparently is not going to be made. AM Best has placed the issuer credit of Ironshore Inc. And its subsidiaries. They're based in the Cayman Islands. They operate out of Bermuda. They've been now reduced to lowercase BBB minus. This comes from a lowercase a minus. Apparently, the operating subsidiaries include Ironshore Insurance, Ironshore Reinsurance, Ironshore Indemnity, and Ironshore Specialty Insurance Company of Arizona. The under review status placed on it by Best's reflects Ironshore's material deviation from its original business plan and the risks in implementing key components of its new plan given current market conditions. Best believes that the change in the business plan will ultimately work and will enhance the Ironshore franchise, but that executing it will be challenging over the short term. The negative implications imply that the current ratings could be affirmed or should be revised, or should the revised business and capital plans not be executed as expected, downward pressure on the current ratings would continue to result. AM Best, however, after giving the negative rating, then said that they expect that the ratings will be affirmed once the key components of the new plan have been completed. And on the Arabian Peninsula, 3 people were killed in Abu Dhabi in an accident at an onshore oil field this morning. The Abu Dhabi news agency did not specify the nature of the accident at the Shah field, which is operated by the Abu Dhabi Company for onshore oil operations. The company has launched an investigation of the incident. Abu Dhabi is the world's 5th largest oil exporter. We'll go now to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news. An interesting story is coming over the wires right now.